Okay, hey guys. So tonight we're going to do a little experiment with Mr. Adam Kokesh. He's been so kind as to do a interview by Cards Against Humanity. So he's going to have the answer or question, and we're going to give our answers, and then he'll pick the justification and the libertarian reason for why. So let's do this.
All right. This first one is a good one. While the United States raced the Soviet Union to the moon, the Mexican government funneled millions of pesos into research on blank. You guys just put them face up because either way, you're not really competing, right? Yeah. And if it is, I got to answer in the open, so I'm not going to be like cheating. But all right. While the United States raced the Soviet Union to the moon, the Mexican government funneled millions of pesos into research on a rainbow merkin found on the ground at Opulent Temple. That's a playa one, isn't it? That's a Burning Man one? Okay. Yeah. A weed elemental who gets everyone high. Oreos for dinner. I gotta go with the Mexico drug war. It's like it's too stupid, it's too obvious. But yeah, a weed elemental who gets everyone high. I like getting everyone high. It's drugs are for sharing. No, but I was actually kind of hoping there would be something that would be immigration related, and I could say because Mexicans who ignore government lines drawn on the map and commit civil disobedience coming to the United States are more willing to put it on the line for freedom than a lot of the fake patriots in America. Absolutely. All right. When I was tripping on acid, blank turned into blank. Oh, geez. I hope this doesn't turn out to be biographical. Oh, yeah. You gotta get to two for this one.
You gotta do two cards.
Oh, two.
Yeah, so the one on top goes first. All right, so when I was tripping on acid, the card Neil Gaiman wrote, 3 elves at a time, turned into make-believe stories for autistic white men. I'm sure there's like a really, really good inside joke in this that I don't get. When I was tripping on acid, shooting a wizard with a gun turned into freaky pan-dimensional sex with a demigod. That's pretty cool. You got cool points on that one. When I was tripping on acid, a totally organic exfoliating face mask made of playa dust and semen turned into a girl named Molly on Molly. Yeah. I've heard bad things about this playa dust. I mean, this is really cool that we have the Burning Man cards in here because I'm a big fan of Burning Man, having never been. Just what it represents is a really cool open source event. But I'm not really for the exfoliating mask and semen together. Sorry, I can't do it. But yeah, shooting a wizard with a gun, freaky pan-dimensional sex with a demigod. We got a winner.
I get that point. Okay.
Yeah. All right. What's that smell? See, this is the challenge for them to keep this moving, to get their answers out really fast. What's that smell? How hot Orlando Bloom was in Lord of the Rings. He was pretty hot. An unexpected Dirty Sanchez. Soup that's better than pussy. You've been waiting to play that one, Mike. You're just like, yeah, I can tell. Yeah, I can't read that. What's that smell? Well, I'm going to have to say, an unexpected Dirty Sanchez is a violation of the non-aggression principle, obviously. And, I mean, as hot as Orlando Bloom was, I couldn't smell him through the screen, so I'm sorry. No, soup that's better than pussy, I'm willing to say, yep, and congratulations, Mike.
That's a voluntary.
Yes, it's voluntary soup. Well, it's very appropriate in Cards Against Humanity, and it's in the nature of it that it is a very libertarian game. It's very popular with libertarians, and I think a big part of waking up to political liberation is waking up to sexual and personal liberation. Obviously, we've got some of both and some different flavors in this. All right. Only 2 things in life are certain: death and blank. You guys are going to have to do all your interviews like this from now on. This is like the new gold standard of interviews. How do you interview someone running for office, make them play Cards Against Humanity, and justify all of their plays?
We'll do a 15-minute segment.
Only 2 things in life are certain: death and a dwarf who won't leave you alone until you compare penis sizes. That's definitely a violation of the non-aggression principle. I just want to be left alone, especially by the dwarf who wants to compare penis sizes.
Unless it's Peter Dinklage. Like, he's really cool.
I don't need to feel better around myself. Only two things in life are certain: death and eternal darkness.
It's pretty existential.
Bathing naked in a moonlit grove is definitely not certain, as nice as that thought is. I mean, I've gone through, a bit of a progression in my own spirituality that's gone hand in hand with my philosophical, political awakening, of course, and I've come to identify now as a pantheist. The belief that the divinity is in everything, and it's very much a rationalist, secularist analysis that allows you to acknowledge the beauty and the wonder and the holiness in the universe. But one of the things that I do get from this is that we all are going to die, and that's like that's liberating, like it's to be trapped in and I don't mean to demean anybody's religion, but what we speculate happens after you die is a mythology no matter what. And when you accept, hey, maybe this is all you got, I think you end up living a lot fuller as a result.
Yes.
I don't mean to brag, but they call me the Michael Jordan of blank. Oh, Jesus. I should be skipping ahead here. Ooh, yeah, these are all really good, though, for this format.
Oh.
Well, we're going to skip another double here. All right, these are all good. All right, you're getting slow, Mike.
He's too academic.
You guys are giving me like all the ones with gross stuff and curses just to see how I'm going to respond, right? This is why this is a real tough crowd, tough interview format. I don't mean to brag, but they call me the Michael Jordan of anal roulette. I think she just wanted to hear me say that.
We all did.
Beautiful. Beautiful phrase.
I don't mean to brag, but they call me the Michael Jordan of gender equality. I don't know what that means, Dan. Really, like, what?
You let us down.
I'm the Michael Jordan of gender equality. Like, okay. I mean, I think that's, again, to bring libertarianism and the message of freedom into this. Yeah, gender equality. You don't hear libertarians engaging in the silly culture war kind of crap. Like, I made a joke earlier today to make fun of the concept that people say there are, 2 genders versus 37 genders or whatever it is. And the libertarian position is, we don't care. You can identify as whatever you want. We might have our own purposes, but ultimately, leave people alone. We don't care. So gender equality, I mean, we don't even put it in those terms, and maybe to our detriment, because those are the terms that most people think of it in, but we think of it as equality to the divine individual by virtue of being an independent human consciousness. And gender doesn't matter, but I don't mean to brag, but they call me the Michael Jordan of shitting in a wizard's spellbook and jizzing in his hat. Yeah, gender equality it is, Mike.
Oh, come on.
What did I bring back from Mexico? All right.
That was quick.
We're going to start doing these reverse order. Mike, real cheese flavor.
Queso.
I don't know. I'm from Arizona. We got real cheese flavor in Arizona, too. The all-seeing eye of Sauron. That was Mexico? I thought they...
I think that was Middle Earth.
Didn't they shoot that in New Zealand? A flame-throwing unicycle. Though, the thing is, if I saw on the street a flame-throwing unicycle that was like a viable consumer product, I would buy that. Especially if I was paying pesos.
And
all right.
we'd probably have to get a government license to have it, though. To special have it.
Special license for the fire.
Yeah.
When I am a billionaire, I shall erect a 50-foot statue to commemorate blank. All right, Dan's is being emotionally and physically dominated by Gordon Ramsay. What would a 50-foot... I don't want to know what a 50-foot statue of that, commemorating that would look like. All right. A 50-foot statue to commemorate a magical kingdom with dragons and elves and no black people.
No, this isn't Josh's interview.
Oh.
Alex's.
When I am a billionaire, I shall erect a 50-foot statue to commemorate dinosaurs who wear armor and you ride them and they kick ass. Yeah, no brainer. Yeah, that one. Go, Mike.
Thank
All
you.
right, yeah. And I mean, I think one of the things that I bring to the message of libertarianism and presenting this that is relatively unique. I mean, there are plenty of other people doing this, but among national figures or prominent public figures in the movement is a very forward-looking and technology-oriented analysis, and this is so important. Even in the book Freedom, the whole last chapter is the future of freedom, and I was thinking about this because I was really looking forward to dinosaurs who wear armor and you ride them and they kick ass, and I'm going to connect this, I promise. But when we have the full power of our science unleashed without government in the way, when we have all the things that we're able to get from technology without red tape, without restrictions, yeah, of course we're going to be cloning dinosaurs and shit like that. That's like right around the corner. Yeah, Jurassic Park type stuff. But, we'll 3D print the armor and... Right. I think people really... It is one of the great tragedies of government that it has so obfuscated how destructive it is in terms of stifling innovation and technology. And some of it's obvious. Some of it is the intellectual property racket and corporatism and patent trolling and things like that. But at an even deeper level, it's how government education kills creativity and entrepreneurship. And I really am looking forward to that day when the expectations of you're going to go through these grades and you're going to follow this curriculum and you're going to go to college, it's just out the window. And I know a lot of people don't, again, connect this to libertarianism as readily as, well, we have to, get rid of statism. But it really is so inherent in it. And the natural state. I mean, I'm a big fan of the concept of unschooling, but even directly connected to the philosophy of libertarianism itself, children have rights too.
My kids are unschooled.
Yeah, our daughter is.
And when you have an independent will that should be respected, you don't say, and now you got to sit in cemetery row seating for 12 years, and if you're lucky, you can go have fun at recess. Like, no, that's it's not just.
Practice being in prison, getting ready for adulthood.
Yeah, it's not just bullshit. It's
joyless.
Not just control.
It kills their joy.
It makes it. Yeah, you want to convince. If people being educated and reading books is a challenge to the state, let's force learn them. How to read books. Of course, they're going to hate reading. It's brilliant in that sense that it kills that. So it's an offense to individual rights of a child to say we're gonna coerce you into an education system. Like, when I turned 18, I remember this because I was such a punk kid. I got in trouble for a lot before I turned 18, and I was always the one going, "Can I drive now? What is this crap? What is it? Now I'm allowed to drive, but before that I wasn't. Like, what is this arbitrary crap? It's insane. Oh, and now I can vote. Now I can join the military. But now I can pay taxes. But it's not based on my merit. It's based on because I hit this arbitrary line in the chronology of my life. That's bullshit. And I made myself a promise that, I know it sounds cliche, but that when I turned 18, I wouldn't forget the people on the other side of that line. And now that I'm 36 and taking this bigger platform and able to say, yes, there should be no... I mean, you look at the natural law. There's nothing in the concept of the natural law that says, and then when you're 16, you have rights. And then when you're 18, you have more rights. And then when you're 21, you have more... Like, this is... No. You're a human being.
It's arbitrary. And, like, our son is 15, and he's more responsible than I am, probably. Like, in a lot of ways, he's very well put together and responsible person. So he could
just for being unschooled properly.
He's 6'5", too. So he's an adult-sized 15-year-old young person. And, a lot of kids are like that. They're ready. And I think that's what causes a lot of conflict with parents, is that they're ready for more autonomy. So we sat down with them and said, look, we're not going to tell you what to do anymore. You set your own bedtime, do what you need to do, and we'll be here to guide you and help you, but your decisions are your own. When you decide what you're going to do for school after, if you want to go to college or not, we're here for you, but you have to make those decisions, and we'll help you with what we can. So I think that makes a big difference, and he's matured a lot more even since then. So
It's basically government that came up with this whole concept of adolescence, this kind of weird
teenagers.
limbo in between years between being a kid and an adult.
We're just holding you off from being an adult to keep you in a perpetual state of
Exactly.
arrested development.
Yeah.
There's another good reference.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's true.
well, with what you were saying there, it just makes you appreciate how much your own capacity has been stifled in contrast to theirs. But really, this concept of unschooling, it's very simple. And what you said about conflicts between parents and kids, I was like, yeah, duh. Most of it comes from parents trying to stifle their kids' will and control them. You want to raise healthy, happy, psychologically mature, fully developed kids? Stop trying to control them. Don't hit your kids. Love them, support them, encourage them, parent them. But the whole current paradigm, especially in the United States, of parenting, really under a statist regime of, give them to government for 8 hours a day to propagandize them. That's just insane.
our 7-year-old taught herself to read through Minecraft, and now she's teaching herself to spell because she wanted to play the game and she couldn't play it well because she couldn't read. So she got on there and tried to read. She learned to read. She reads fantastically now. She reads like the Tuttle Twins books. She reads them by herself. She gets up in the morning. She loves them. She reads them. And then she likes the Judy B. Jones. She's been getting those from the library. So, and now she's like really working on her spelling. She wants to do well because she doesn't want the other kids in the
Video
room,
game.
to make fun of her and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's amazing, and we kind of got encouraged to do it by Dan because his kids were already unschooled. And although he had made the leap to homeschooling, it was really difficult for us to unschool.
It's a leap of faith unless you know somebody that's done it.
Yeah, and homeschooling in itself is a leap of faith, and you feel, and like we use the Ron Paul curriculum for our son. He likes structure, so that works out really well for him. But our daughter is a little baby anarchist. Like, she will not be told what to do, and the more you try to tell her, the more she is not going to do it. So we had to change as parents to do what's best for her. So
And then you end up getting to have real relationships with your kids, too.
it's awesome.
All right, you guys ready for another card then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Everyone down on the ground. We don't want to hurt anyone. We're just here for blank. Everyone down on the ground. We don't want to hurt anyone. We're just here for kneeing a wizard in the balls. You got a lot of wizard cards, Mike. We're just here for true love's kiss. Aww. A bag of white powder that seems to have been cut with gummy bears. I guess, well,
This is like a police car.
everyone down on the ground, we don't want to hurt. Yeah, but see, police don't say we don't. Well, they do say we don't want to hurt anyone.
Right.
But this is what they do.
Yeah, we're just here for yeah, because if you were yelling this, the next thing would be yes. At least it's not shooting a dog, which is what they normally do after yelling this. Or
It's okay,
similar
Baloo.
things. Yeah, Baloo is in here. Should we bring Baloo up on the camera? Baloo, come here. You're wanted on the set. This is my dog.
Asleep.
He's
Time for
had
your
a very
close-up.
fun day. Baloo, come here. Can we tip the camera down? Just Baloo, sit. Oh, he's tired today. Jeez. Baloo, go sit. Look at the camera. He's like, there are no treats involved. He had a great time today making friends at the convention. But I just want to point out he is a survivor of some serious police brutality. He had a flashbang grenade thrown at him. So I thought those were. You guys draw more cards. You guys need to draw more cards. You have well, you guys haven't been drawing any.
Oh, yeah.
So just take more, and then you have more variety. It's more fun. Anyway, Baloo was, we're not really playing by the rules, obviously. Baloo was in the raid on my home in
I remember that.
2013.
Oh, I remember one recently, too.
And he had a flashbang grenade thrown at him.
Wow.
And then when we got arrested in this vehicle, it was just him and I. And he went to doggy jail for a couple nights. And people were way more concerned about him than they were about me, appropriately so.
He's less experienced at it.
The dog didn't choose any of this. You're living the life you're living to do what you're doing, but the dog didn't pick.
Well, he loves it. He loves being on the road. I do let him pick. Part of this too. I was trained. Baloo is the first and only dog I've ever had. He's 8 years old. I've had him almost his whole life. And I was taught a somewhat physically domineering way of training a dog. And he's very well trained. He's very well behaved. He heels. He sits, lays down, shakes, does high fives and everything. Yeah, it counts. Yeah, he does high 10. So give me 10.
Yep.
And he, it's changed my relationship with him to become more voluntarist in my way I live in every regard. And so I have actually a better relationship with my dog as a result of this. And I've gone vegetarian as part of my process of awakening. I have to say with vegan tendencies, but I don't like saying that I'm vegan because I'm vegetarian when I'm on the road. And
it's hard.
And at home I have chickens, but I eat the eggs because I have a voluntary relationship with my chicken. So I think it's there are two definitions of vegan, right? And one is consumes no animal products, right. And that's kind of silly and unrealistic actually. But the vegan society definition is does not a practical lifestyle that does the best to minimize cruelty and exploitation of animals. So even in that, I don't like to say that I'm vegan, but that's what I appreciate. That's to me the most important part of it. So when I say I eat my eggs from my chickens at home, you can call it exploitive, but they're free range. They're taken care of. It's definitely not cruel.
You're not forcing them to lay the eggs.
Yeah, I'm not forcing them to lay the eggs. I think to me that's a positive symbiotic relationship, and I think that's how we should be with all animals.
I think you have to take into account evolution of our species and theirs. They've evolved to work together in some way because, of course, we've learned to eat eggs.
They're very domesticated.
They're very domesticated. They need someone to care for them, or they're just kind of helpless and get attacked and killed. So you take care of them and they take care of you. I mean, it is very voluntaristic. So those things that have evolved together that way.
All right, here's a fun political one. What's Teach for America using to inspire inner city students to succeed? What's Teach for America using to inspire inner city students to succeed? A face full of horse cum. I am uninspired. Sherry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your contribution to this interview.
It's a perfect card.
Going on an epic adventure and learning a valuable lesson about friendship. Well, that's nice, Dan.
I'm a nice person.
Points for kissing ass.
Because you're Buddhist.
Child support payments.
That's Teach for America.
I'm going to have to say, child support payments really wins there as the political point. We had a speaker here for since we haven't mentioned it yet, we should tell people that we are in Lebanon, Tennessee, for the Tennessee State Libertarian Party Convention, and one of the speakers today, I think he's running for a state rep seat, was speaking a lot about family law reform. And for anybody who's been through a government divorce, my parents got divorced when I was 10 and had a really ugly custody battle. It is really sad how government licenses for marriages are still a thing when we know that they were originally created to prevent interracial marriage, and now they're just another thing that the legal system abuses to make itself more relevant, to get lawyers paid more and screw people over. It's really sad how it tears families apart now. Here at the Academy for Gifted Children, we allow students to explore blank at their own pace. That's a very appropriate unschooling card, isn't it? Uh-oh.
We should be playing for money.
Jeez. Yeah, right. All right. Here at the Academy for Gifted Children, we allow students to explore brown people at their own pace. Power at their own pace. No. Explore not reciprocating oral sex at their own pace. Well, technically, when you're not reciprocating oral sex, it's still getting done at someone else's pace, but I'll go with that anyway. All right. The healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of blank. Michael Jackson. Ooh. The healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of ejaculating live bees, and the bees are angry.
Well.
Or Gandhi. Yeah, this game can get like ugly and dark really fast. Victims of Gandhi, because that's I'm not supposed to say anything bad about Gandhi, right? But yeah, the stuff about it. Is that what you were thinking when you played? Honestly, I'm going to turn it on her. Is that what you were? What were you thinking when you played the Gandhi card?
A little bit about how I can't go into detail about it because I've only read a little bit on it, but just how he wasn't exactly the person that he claimed to be. The hunger strikes weren't necessarily hunger strikes all the time, from what I've read, and just stuff like that. Civil disobedience that doesn't have a disruptive quality, I guess, is one of the things that I had read. Maybe.
It's funny you mentioned that about the fasting, because I recently heard a presentation from someone who was like, yeah, I fast, I haven't eaten anything in months, and I just get my energy from gazing at the sun. And then he was like, well, by not eating anything, I meant I drink a lot of smoothies. Yeah, you can live off smoothies and not be eating anything. But geez, the healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of ejaculating live bees, and the bees are angry. Goddamn. I'll go with that one. All right. Blank. Bet you can't have just one. All right, guys. Come on. I know you got cards for this. A Hitachi magic wand. Bet you can't have just one. Tongue. Bet you can't have just
waiting
one.
to play that one.
African children. Bet you can't have just one. Is that a dig on like celebrities adopting kids from?
Sad children.
Yeah. Well, geez.
Not that they necessarily are. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, that's an interesting... Geez, are we going to get into that?
Why not?
That's such a rich topic that I don't want to go anywhere near. No, but yeah, there's an element of celebrity grandstanding and virtue signaling that's what we've come to expect from Hollywood.
It's distasteful.
Yeah. And of course, I'm going to find a way to blame government here, which is that you wouldn't have the great disparities of wealth and power if you didn't have governments isolating people economically. I mean, the fact that, I watched as a kid when I was watching TV, the commercials where they're asking for just $1 a day will save a child's life. And it's, I think part of what in the back of my mind at least drove me to become a libertarian, to be like, me giving $30 to a shady charity is not going to solve this problem. There's something more fundamental here. And one of the things that's so beautiful about this movement is that a lot of people come to this message through studying economics. And that's a huge gateway, because when you realize, okay, if we look at economics as the science of how do we create the most value for everyone, inevitably you come to the conclusion of anarcho-capitalism. Of, well, yes, you have to remove all the force and coercion from every relationship, or someone is losing out. Someone is not getting their maximum value out of the relationship. And then you go, oh, shit. You mean all the ways that humanity is not just living up to its potential for taking care of ourselves and each other and feeding and housing and clothing each other, it can pretty much all be attributed to government? You go, holy crap.
Yeah.
And even if you're coming at it from the hard-headed scientific rationalist analysis through economics, you end up coming to the humanitarian conclusion of holy shit.
Well, economics is the study of how humans behave with certain stimuli, basically.
So you guys can interrupt for like serious questions if you feel you need to. How long have we been going for? I could do this all night. I gotta warn you. Well, the recording was like
6 minutes.
So it's been about a half hour because it was running.
About 6 minutes before we actually started.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have any questions for me while I pick one last card then?
Yeah, actually, I did have something.
Oh, this was supposed to be a real interview at one point. Sorry, I ruined it for everybody. This is way more fun.
Great.
Hey, we'll forgive you this time.
All right. Let me find my questions.
Playing cards earlier today, got us thinking. You do a million interviews, so we may as well have fun with one.
I do have one, and this is one of the favorite things that I've ever heard you say. which is we will not be silent. We will not obey. We will not allow our government to destroy our humanity. And just what we were talking about, the fact that, for one, there's a two parts to this question, I guess. One is that as, anarchists and individualists, sometimes I think people forget that community aspect, that we're humans and we need community. We were born into communities. Families are your first community. And that there's more beyond I think we feel so driven to protect our individualness because it's so forced away from us. We're forced away from it. That sometimes we go too far to individuals and we think we're an island. So if you could speak to that. And then also, what the fuck happened to dissent in this country? Like, it used to
I've been working on it. Yeah, it's not working.
Like, I just want to make us dissonant again.
I'm optimistic there. I think dissent is growing, and I think it's growing in different ways because the field of battle has fundamentally shifted into the technological era. Buying Bitcoin is dissent. Buying Bitcoin is an act of rebellion, saying, screw you to the banking system. I'm not going to use your fiat government currency anymore.
It's nullification. In a way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great personal financial nullification. Say, I'm not going to pay the inflation tax anymore, or at least to the extent that I practically can. I understand. It's hard to shift your entire life over to cryptocurrencies at this point, but now you can get a shift card. You can get a debit card that draws out of your cryptocurrency wallet. So the thing about individualism is an idea that's really near and dear to my heart. I think it's really important because libertarianism is falsely identified as an individualist theory. A lot of people come to it through that analysis, and the most easy way to communicate this is, well, you own yourself, therefore ethics, therefore the non-aggression principle, therefore government is illegitimate, and holding back humanity. But you could describe the philosophy entirely from the perspective of voluntarism, describing only relationships. Mm-hmm. And what is the nature of our relationships? And I think that's really important to keep in mind, that libertarianism is not an individualist philosophy or a collectivist philosophy. It's an ethical philosophy. It applies to the individual analysis, it applies to the communal analysis, it applies to the relational analysis. That's hugely critical, and a lot of people screw that up. And for those who do outwardly, I think a lot of them come from the Randian tradition, and I love the concept of objectivism. I think it's Ayn Rand's greatest gift to humanity. She was wrong about a lot of conclusions, and she brought a lot of personal animosity and negativity into her analysis that was wrong. Right. And so a lot of people think that it's all about that individual self-actualization, but it's not. Because you could do that by being violent. You could do that by being dishonest. It's about elevating humanity.
It's interesting. We were talking the other day about anarchism versus voluntarism. They go together. They're counterparts. But as anarchism is sort of the political theory, and then voluntarism is sort of the social theory that are kind of... What do you think about that? Anarchism says what you shouldn't do to people, and then voluntarism says the kind of interactions you should have.
No, I mean, I really want to say that they're just synonymous. When you define anarchy properly as essentially anarcho-capitalism or no rulers, right, then it's the same thing. Like, you can say that people choose to use... It's like people choose to use the word in this context more. Who cares? And to me, ultimately, libertarian... Right. Is the catch-all, and it's really just about what is the preferred language that you like to use to communicate. If you're going up to a bunch of punk kids, wearing
anarchism is
logos because they're in that spirit of rebelliousness, then maybe, and they associate with the word anarchy, then maybe that's the gateway for them to be like, no, anarchy is really about economic analysis, and let me tell you about the means of production and centrally controlled monetary supply and inflation theory and just business cycle stuff, and if that's the right gateway for them, that's fine. Obviously, for people who aren't feeling that, maybe it's not a good word.
Framing.
And for people who want to jump right into philosophy, and it's funny because my preferred word there is voluntarism. to me, semantically, that's more correct. But I use voluntarism because it's more direct. It's harder to mishear as volunteerism or something else. So if I'm talking philosophy, I don't even use anarchist or anarcho-capitalist. I use voluntarist. I think that describes to me the philosophy more precisely. But like I was saying today, can't we all just unite under the word libertarian and defend that as something that actually means something about principle?
Even in our country, if we could get everyone to a point where they could say, okay, my rights are non-negotiable, your rights are non-negotiable, and we're not going to try and enact, use a proxy to make you do things and make myself do things that we want each other to do. Yeah. If we could just get people to that point, our society would change. I always tell me, I don't need you to become an anarchist for us to be friends or for me to like you. I just need you to recognize how violent the system is against us, and that when you advocate for laws that force me to do things, you're advocating for violence against me. You're advocating for blatantly, violating my rights. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to see that. And I want to, see that I don't want to do that to you, and that people can live together and disagree and be different. So I think that's an important
part of the awakening.
Yeah, it really is. And just that how much violence there is in our lives. And it took me a long time to really see that, how many interactions are not just distasteful, but they're violent because they aggress on my right to choose my own interactions and relationships. So I really I'm just seeing how much violence is there. I've been looking at that a lot more, I think, closely, and just noticing it. And you can't unsee it. That's the great thing about anything we teach. You can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So even if it makes people mad, they hear that, your voice in their head every time. And I've had things like that where I've come around to the other way of thinking because it pissed me off. But then every time I heard it in different contexts or different people or some of that situation, I went, oh gosh, I was wrong.
And you have to be patient and understand with other people who are going through that same process.
Yeah. Compassion. If we can remember that compassion, we have compassion for the indoctrinated. Because the people who are the police and the people who are the military and the people who want to use proxy force against other people, they're not doing it because they're actually evil. They're doing it because they've been told that that's good. They're blinded. They really are blind. I was blind once when I was in full-on neocon. So.
And changing didn't happen overnight.
No, it didn't. It really didn't. So and I'm growing. We've been anarchists for 3 or 4 years, so it's not been a long time. But that process it's really beautiful to start seeing the world for what it could be. That's a great thing that I love about it. Sorry.
Are you guys ready for the last card then?
Yeah, let's do the last card.
Why am I sticky? It's a good one to end on, isn't it? Let's see what you guys really think of me here after all of this. Uh-oh. All right. And answers in. The first one I think here is a very, well, geez, you got 2 really big losers in this one. Holy crap. Why am I sticky? Accidentally conjuring a legless horse that can't stop ejaculating. Hey, when I do that, it's on purpose, Dan. Why am I sticky? The entire Mormon tabernacle choir. All right. Scary, Mike. Scary. Know what you're thinking about.
I finally had a nice one.
Why am I sticky? Free ice cream, yo! Yes, that's it. That's my big weakness. That's like the hardest thing for me about getting away from animal products is ice cream, but there's so many great vegan alternatives. My favorite thing when I was working construction on my own property and, being out and, working on stuff physically, doing like labor 10 hours a day, is that I could come home every night and eat a whole pint of ice cream and not gain weight. It was heaven for me.
Well, Adam, we certainly appreciate you doing it. It was a lot of fun, and I hope that you're going to not regret this going out to people. So, thank you so much for playing along and being a good sport.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Good night, guys. Bye.